The champions got off to a flying start last weekend in front of a full house at Parkhead. They beat the living daylights out of the Premiership newcomers Livingston, and they began their quest for 8 in a row. The perfect start has evolved into a frustrating week for Brendan Rodgers, a disappointing draw in their Champions League qualifier, but more concerning, the apparent rift with him and the Celtic board as a result of the lack of replenishment to his squad. But it's their opponents' Hearts today who've been transformed by a summer transfer spree. And last weekend, many of those new recruits helped Craig Levine's team to an impressive victory despite initially going behind. And last December, Hearts ended Celtic's 69-game unbeaten record. It was a highlight of an indifferent season, but now those new recruits, there's an air of expectation that Levine's side could be a more serious proposition this season. And today will be the ideal test to see how far they've actually progressed. We are at Tynecastle Park in the west of Edinburgh for what's traditionally a very eventful fixture in the Ladbrokes Premiership. It is the first of 6 games this weekend in the league in the glorious weather, so why not try and get to one of these games and support your local team. A very good afternoon. It was a very good day, wasn't it, for Hearts back in December with that 4-0 victory over Celtic, regarded as one of the greatest over their old firm rivals. Now, these adversaries are up against it today. There's a bit of discontent that we're going to tell you about with Celtic and Brendan Rodgers and their summer spending. Could Hearts take advantage of that and inflict another blow on the defending champions? James McFadden and Chris Commons are here, plenty to discuss on that, but let's get you straight to the team news, and we start with Craig Levine's Hearts. Well, he makes 3 changes from that 4-1 impressive win over Hamilton in their opening game. Michael Smith comes back from injury. Carl Lafferty starts. He scored 3 goals in his last 3 appearances against Celtic, and Jake Morani, the young Irish winger, makes his first start in the league. Out drops right back Aaron Hughes and right winger Callum Morrison, and Stephen McLean, summer signing, also out of the side. And we expected plenty of changes for Brendan Rodgers. Big changes here following their Champions League draw. They've got that second leg to come against AEK Athens. Josie Simonovic comes into the side. Lee Griffiths makes his first start since April. With Scott Sinclair, Johnny Hayes and Bure Kouassi, those are 5 changes. Out drop Aya Cham Rogic, and Edward Forrest also drops to the bench, and they're joined on the bench as well by Bain and Michael Johnson. So, gents, it's a very different looking Hearts side, isn't it? If we start with James on that one, with so many summer signings, we've seen 7, in fact, if you include Naismith, of their 13 in the starting 11. Why so many signings for Craig Levine?
I think he wanted to put his own stamp on the side. You know, inherited the side from Ian Cathro, and we can say for definite that this is his side, moulded the way he wants it. They've had a fantastic start to the League Cup campaign and obviously the league campaign last week as well. And they look like they're an attacking threat going forward. We know Craig Levine likes to get the ball forward. He likes to be physical up top as well, and that's certainly been the case so far, and that'll be a different test for Celtic today.
Is that what they needed then, more attacking threat to do better than they did last season?
Yeah, you have to look at the league table, Hayley. It's 38 games, 39 goals, simply not good enough if you want to compete at the top of the table. I spoke to Christophe Berra, and he says that they were looking at trying to get up into the top 4 in that bracket. Now, if you bring in strikers that's going to give you that, then that's brilliant. Something that they clearly didn't have last season. Built the foundations on their tight defence. We spoke about Berra and Suter before the show, and what a good partnership they are. I wonder if they can recapture their form and start pushing into the Scotland squad, where this man will be keeping a keen eye.
Well, we're always looking, you know, we're looking forward to the campaign upcoming with Scotland. Christophe Berra we know all about, and John Suter's a young man, and it's great for him to be able to learn off of the experience of Christophe Berra. They've started the season well, and as you said, the defence hasn't really been a problem for them. It's getting forward, which they have done, but I think he's, you know, improved the overall team, not just in the forward areas. Peter Harring's come in as well, and initially as a defender, played centre midfield last week, managed to get 2 goals. So he's looked to try and bring, you know, his teams, get it wide, get the balls in the box, and cause teams problems, and they have done that so far. It's a different test today, obviously playing against the champions, but it's one that I'm sure they're looking forward to.
Yes, Craig Levine, I'm sure, looking forward to it, and he is with Luke Shanley.
Craig, given the positive start last weekend, what gives you confidence you can win again today?
Yeah, what gives me confidence? We've been better the last 3 matches. It's early in the season, of course. There are some promising signs for us. The players are very positive about this game, and I'm positive and I'm hopeful. But we're playing a very good side today.
How do you best utilise your new threats as well?
Well, they just need to do what they do. I don't need to complicate it, and if the new guys can do the things that they're really good at, it will help the team. So we have some recent success here against Celtic. We'll play in the same manner. We'll try and get after them and see if we can win the ball back and give us a better chance to score. Again, as I say, it'll be a tough task.
Yeah, they've made changes, but they bring in quality as well. How tough do you think it will be?
Yeah, I mean they have got a lot of strength and depth, and I think Brendan's squad is probably the envy of just about all the teams in the league, and yeah, we know the capabilities of the players, and they'll be fired up for this match because they always are. But I'm hopeful, as I say.
Just briefly, I know when we last spoke you said the lawnmower might be broken. Is it being fixed?
I think it'll be fixed early in the week, and that was the news I was getting.
Thank you. Cheers, Craig. Thanks.
That was after, of course, Brendan Rodgers wasn't very happy, was he, about the length of the grass out here. It's been relaid as well, the pitch, hasn't it? And they'll be pleased to be back at home, feeling like home, and make this their home yet again.
Yeah, they will do. And we walk past the pitch, and it is still a bit long, longer than Brendan Rodgers would like. But Craig Levein and Hearts are well within their rights to have the pitch how they want it. It's their home stadium. They've put plenty of water on it, so it won't be dry and sticky. The pitch will be good enough for Celtic to play football on. But this is a ground that is tough to come to. It's traditionally been, for a lot of clubs to come here, it's very difficult, and that's what Hearts will be trying to do again. They've built a beautiful new stand, and they want to pack that out and give them the fortress. Played there yourself, Chris. The atmosphere's brilliant because the fans are so on top of you. At times it's good because you're fired up. Other times you can hear exactly what they're saying, which isn't great. But
I've been on the end of both. I've been able to score a hat-trick here, and I've also got sent off twice in my career, both at Tynecastle. So it brings that edge to you where you play right on the limit.
You enjoy playing here, even as an opposition player. Not because it's easy, but because how hostile it is, because of the atmosphere. You do enjoy playing here.
Yeah, who'd have thought we'd be talking about the length of the grass? But yes, they'll be hoping for a bit of home advantage back here at Tynecastle, which is exactly what it was with that great game back in December last year, where, of course, they beat the champions and that unbeaten run of 69 games right here. Celtic fans arriving at Tynecastle Park today with hopes and dreams of another successful campaign. But if that's to be achieved, it will be with a squad that's lacking in the strength and reinforcement that Brendan Rodgers had hoped for.
All we're looking to do is try and replace, firstly, what we lost. I've got a huge respect for the people here at work at the club. Of course, you always want to have that ambition to improve and be better. It's always going to be difficult unless you have major investment.
Well, you look at the maths, the situation presenting itself from the fans is that Celtic have received around about £50 million, of course, from additional revenues, and the fact that they do so well in the Champions League and qualify. They've also recouped £10 million as well from signings, and add to that you've got Virgil van Dijk and his sale to Liverpool. So this is who Celtic have invested in during Brendan's tenure. You've got the transfer record, of course, broken this season with Edouard's arrival. So you look at nearly £25 million. Of course, salaries have been increased as well. There have been investments in Brendan's backroom staff and also at Lennoxtown and Celtic Park. So, do you think, gents, the fans and Brendan have the right to feel frustrated about this? Peter Law, is he just continuing to be a sensible businessman and a shrewd businessman?
I think, me personally, when you see the amount of money that has been brought through to the club and what Brendan Rodgers has done to Celtic over these 2 years, I think he's got the right to go and get the players that he wants. I think he's identified players that he's gone back to the board with and they've simply just said, we can't afford that, we're not going to do that. I think the days of, when we spoke this before we went on air, the days of Celtic trying to recoup maximum money for the likes of, you know, your Wanyamas, your Van Dijks, the hidden gems, it's so hard to try and find a player of that much value that's at £1.5–2 million. I think Brendan wants a player that's going to go straight into the squad and not having to work for 12 months trying to get him up to speed. I think he's identified that Celtic clearly need a centre-half for European football. They haven't managed to go and get an experienced centre-half. But you could spend £7–8 million on a centre-half and it'd still be a disaster. But I think from a Celtic point of view, you would just like to see him have a go at that. Go and get a big signing.
Can they afford it, though? Because, I mean, Champions League football, that's not guaranteed either, is it? Just by reaching the next stages.
Yeah, I think I can understand the frustrations because you want to see your team signing the best players, but you only need to look across the road at Rangers and what happened historically there. They went and spent millions on players that eventually it goes against them, and then they're trying to chase it. If they're not guaranteed Champions League football, and if they can get into the group stage, of course it brings more money in, but you're talking about bringing in a centre-back for £7–8 million, then he wants a midfielder, that's probably another £7–8 million. You've already spent £9 million in the forward line. In an ideal world, yeah, but of course we'd like to see Brendan going out and getting to spend the players on the players that he wants, but the model at Celtic is, as Chris said, buy young players or unheard of players, improve them, a la Van Dijk, Wanyama, Fraser Forster, to go and recoup a massive transfer fee, and it's not as easy as that. But Van Dijk was ready to play when he came in.
Yeah, but also, we didn't qualify for Champions League with arguably one of the best defenders in the English Premier League. So it's trying to find the balance of spending money, getting the quality. It's got to be about the quality rather than quantity. There's no point signing 2–3 players that we've never heard of and expecting them then to get the Celtic mould.
If there are these sort of problems between Brendan Rodgers and the board, and there's discussion and things aren't going very well, does that not then affect him?
That's a big one for me. I think when you're in a dressing room, any sort of arguments, any disputes on the training ground, everyone always says keep it within the dressing room, ignore the media. The fact that he's come out and said it to the media, it's highlighted even more problems, I think, what's lying underneath.
Well, he's very much focused, of course, on today and trying to make sure he comes away from here with all 3 points, as he did in the opening game of the weekend. And Brendan Rodgers is with Luke Shanley.
Brendan, how tricky a game is this today, given it's sandwiched in between the Champions League qualifier?
Yeah, it's always there's always a tough game. There's a test physically here, and then any of the wins that we've had here, it's always been a tough game. So, but like you say, we're 3 games in 7 days, so that's always going to be tough at this stage of the season. But they're always good games here, good atmosphere, and obviously we'll look forward to hopefully getting the 3 points.
Is that in your thinking as well regarding the changes today?
Yeah, clearly, because obviously we play Tuesday in the heat, but for the likes of young Chris Azure, he's obviously not available for Tuesday night, so we'll have to get some game time into Jozo Simonovic, so hence the reason why he's playing. And obviously the other players that will come in are still very good players, like Johnny Hayes and Lee Griffiths and Scott Sinclair. So like I said, we got a good squad, and obviously we trust the players that we put in can get us a result.
Do you feel Hearts are a different prospect this season from, say, last season?
Well, I think there's no doubt since Craig has taken over, it's a different style, it's a different idea of football to what Ian had played here. It's a more direct game, it's a more physical game. So I would say there's more a physical test of you certainly, and you've got to deal with a lot more crosses into the box, a lot more longer balls. But that's a challenge. There's no right or wrong way of playing. You just have to deal with it. So like I say, he's building his own sort of way of working here with his own players, Craig, and like I say, we expect a tough game.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, how do you think he's feeling with this game, as he mentioned himself, sandwiched between these two huge games in Europe?
It's a game that he could be doing without, but you know, that's part and parcel of being Celtic. They want to go and challenge and qualify for Europe. They need to deal with these games, and in a way, they know it's going to be tough. So the guys coming in know they have to be at a level. They need to perform, but they're trying to force their way into the side for midweek for the European qualification, which is what it's all about for Celtic at the minute.
Yeah. And to be considered as a big team and big in Europe, you've got to be doing well in Europe, haven't you?
You have, but that's the balance, Hayley, of trying to compete at that level. You know, the spending power now of these European teams completely outweighs what Celtic can achieve. So, you know, it's been said for numerous years now that Brendan Rodgers will be looking for that European result. You know, Martin O'Neill, Gordon Strachan, Neil Lennon, always at that pinnacle of the European result. If he can get it, then that'd be magic. If he can start on Tuesday night, that'd be superb.
These games, both of them last season here, played at real high intensity. Do you think that suits Craig Levein right now today?
Of course it does. You know, Celtic will have one eye on midweek, which is natural, but Craig Levein will want his team to go out and show the fight and intensity as they did last year. I'm sure Stephen Naismith will be used in a role against Scott Brown, which he done last year, and he done very well. He's fitter than he is last year, so it'll be a tough game for Celtic. Hearts will be really up for it, as they should be. As
they were last weekend as well, getting off to a flying start in the Premiership. Fans will be hoping to see more of that, but they are of course up against Celtic on their quest for an 8th